Alright, another weekly address video. This one's a little bit late. So this week it's the Republican weekly response. So to the President's radio address. What used to be called the radio address.
Hello, I'm Congressman Dave Camp from Michigan, and I serve as the lead Republican on the House Ways and Means Committee. American families and small businesses are hurting, and Republicans know that we must act to help get our economy back on track. But we also know that we can't borrow and spend our way back to prosperity. Last week, Democratic leaders in Congress railroaded through a $1.1 trillion spending bill. As soon as next week, they may bring up a bill that spends another $500 billion.
Yeah, they may bring up. Look, the bottom line is, though, is that you guys, the Republicans, President Bush, railroaded through in just a matter of days by threat of martial law and complete chaos in the world, a bill that bailed out the richest people in the world. You've basically insured deposits that might equal $5, $6, $7 trillion. So yeah, you don't have to pay out the money tomorrow, but you've taken on the liabilities for that much money. So if things stay south, all that money is going to have to come from somewhere. So you've just borrowed and spent a huge amount of money, depending on what happens with the economy. So this is just, you know, pot calling the kettle black kind of crap. No pun intended.
And that's on top of the $700 billion in TARP money, and perhaps untold billions more we're spending to help banks and homeowners. Congressional Democratic leaders' track record on spending taxpayers' money wisely this year is already lousy.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, records, okay? You had 8 years of President Bush, and the record is clear, okay? I mean, he doubled the national debt. There was a budget surplus under Clinton, remember? For a little while, a year. I'm not applauding the Democrats, but you got nothing to defend here. You've wasted preposterous money on your little revenge wars. You know, on technology we'll never get back. On, you know, we've sent crap over to Iraq that's never coming back home again. All that hardware is going to have to be replaced. Huge amount of money that you have just pissed away on stuff nobody can eat, nobody can live in, that have no social value whatsoever.
House Republicans offered a plan to help our economy using fast-acting tax relief that would have created 6.2 million jobs, twice the jobs, at half the cost.
Yeah, what a joke. You just make that number up. You just made that number up. All right, and your little tax cut to the rich, yeah, like somehow that was going to solve all our problems again. Let's just have another tax cut. We're facing a debt crisis, and you're talking about tax cuts. I mean, it's imbecilic.
Of the Democrats' trillion-dollar government spending bill. Instead, the Democrats' bill included money for electric golf carts, billions that could go to scandal-plagued groups like Acorn, and millions...
Yeah, well, whatever. Your TARP money, we all know where that went, too. Billions to fucking the richest people in the world for their airplanes and their bonuses and their Christmas presents and their Easter gifts and all the rest of their crap and birthday parties. Fuck you, silly person.
Billions more just to renovate government office buildings. Despite promises of openness and transparency, it was written in a back room and rushed through Congress so quickly that few, if any, members of Congress read it.
Oh, come on. It took 2 weeks. Even though the Democrats had a majority in both houses, they went through the motions of compromising with the Republicans. So they took out a lot of stuff in the bill and put in a bunch of nice Republican pork. So what are you complaining about? For 4 extra votes that meant absolutely nothing, you got to change at least 20 or 25% of the bill. So what are you whining about? You lost the election, you know.
Next week, we have an opportunity to hit reset and try again to work in a transparent and bipartisan way to address our nation's problems. On Monday, members of Congress from both parties will join President Obama at the White House for a fiscal responsibility summit. Yeah,
so right, a bunch of semi-millionaires or millionaires will sit around and talk about what we need, who else's money we need to save from their bankruptcy, from them taking responsibility for their risk-taking, right? We could find out who else we got to bail out. You know, get real.
Republicans and Democrats agree that the American people deserve a secure retirement, including affordable health care they can count on.
Yeah, and now the punchline comes, right? They deserve this, but...
But we all know that vital programs like Medicare and Social Security face serious financial challenges.
Right, the serious financial challenges 15 to 20 years from now. Okay, so yeah, that's an unfunded liability that has to be addressed sooner or later. But guess what? We're right in the middle of a depression, idiot. Okay, and the depression has nothing to do with Social Security and unemployment insurance and all these other funds that you guys have been stealing from for the last 20 years, 30 years. All right, you've been taking money. You owe Social Security over $2 trillion. Okay, you've taken the money from Social Security. Social Security doesn't owe you. You owe it. All right, the payroll taxers have paid in advance, and what did you do? The income taxpayers took the money and played in the stock market, and now they've lost the stinking money. And now you're going to guarantee them the money, even though they lost the money. I mean, come on, we see right through you.
Boomers get older, people live longer lives, and families have fewer children. Republicans genuinely want to work with the president to solve these problems in a responsible way.
Yeah, right. The responsible way will be, let's take away them benefits from them working people. We got to keep them working until they're 80 or 90. Yeah, that'll be your responsible way to fix the problem. Find some other way where you can make money off people's health. Yeah, what a joke. You sit there, you parasites. You really are disgusting.
Not burden our children and grandchildren with a mountain of debt. The summit next week is an important step, as is the budget outline the president will release at the end of the week. If he is serious about dealing with the tough issues and getting spending under control, his budget will show it. If we do not...
Yeah, right. And the only place he can get it under control are in places he can't do anything about. Fixing Social Security tomorrow will not fix any of our debt crisis. And the only place to cut is military. You can't cut it until we get our damn troops out of the goddamn mess you Republicans put them in. So what's he going to cut? What is he going to cut? Student aid?
Act. We doom the next generation to fewer and worse government services, drastic tax increases, and unprecedented debt.
Yeah, well, we already created the unprecedented debt, okay? And it was because of you jackasses cutting taxes in the good times, okay? You never increase the taxes. You always just cut them. Say, we need a stimulus. We got to cut taxes. The economy's doing good. We can cut taxes. We can cut taxes. We can cut taxes. But you never figure out that eventually revenues are going to be declining and you got to do something to make up the difference. No, you just run deficits. And then you complain about deficits. It doesn't make any sense.
Us not leave that legacy to our children and our grandchildren. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's the old line, okay? But it's true, okay? Democrats might tax and spend, but you stupid Republicans borrow and spend. You're the ones that create this debt with your damn tax cuts to the richest people in the world. Ugh. Alright, yeah, that's the end. Okay, not too long. Hope it's loud enough. I have to fix my microphone and such. So anyway, it is what it is. I'm publishing it as it is. No editing. So this is it. So the end of the video is coming up any minute now. I'll hit the button any minute. There's going to be some sort of State of the Union speech and Republican response, so I'll probably do some sort of response to that, but I won't play the whole thing because that would be just insane. But you know, those speeches always suck anyway because it's always point to somebody in the audience. Oh, Joe Smucko, you know, he tied his own shoes one day and blah blah blah, you know, and all this bullshit about some individual like that has something to do with a nation of 300 million people, and he's just going to point to some jackass in the audience like that's a proof of something. Just so stupid. And everybody will applaud, 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 applaud. Ugh.